Maybe 6 or 7, I guess, was when I first realised something was probably not quite right.
Well, when I was a kid, so maybe around 11 or something like that. I don't know if they get mixed up between like gay people and people who do bad things.
There were a lot of times where I would be beaten, spat on. I was treated like less of a human.
I'd been volunteering in the children's ministry, and then they decided to put me up to be head of one area of the children's ministry. So I had a meeting with the wife of the head of children's ministry. So we caught up for coffee to have a chat about the change in role and I guess to congratulate me about being good with the kids and showing promise. At that time, she was telling me about how great it is that I'm going to be a leader. And at that time, I thought it would be appropriate to make it known that I am attracted to women. She took it really well. So I told her, I said, I'm attracted to women. And she said, well, that's okay. It doesn't go against the church, you know. You're not sinning, it's okay. You're a great leader, you're great in children's ministry, that's fine. She told her husband, who's head of children's ministry, we had a meeting and he told me that I can't be near the children because it's not safe and they can't put them in harm's way. Yeah, I don't know what they thought that I was going to do to the kids, considering I'd been with them for a very long time, taking care of them. I don't know if they get mixed up between like gay people and people who do bad things. I was a bit, I guess, horrified at the ignorance that they showed. One day they're praising me about the way I interact with the children and how my approach to children's ministry is like somehow superior to everybody else's. And then the next day, all of a sudden, I'm dangerous. Their line of argument was something along the lines of, we can't have people who sin to be leaders in our church. And then I think, well, what about all the people who are having sex before marriage? What about all the people who lie, who gossip, who steal? It seems that there's rules for gay people in that church, and then there's rules for everybody else. So when I told my friends at church who treated me like family, I said, you know, this is what happened. And they rejected me and they're like, I'm not getting involved with this. I'm not going to talk to you about this, Jess. I'm just going to leave it up to the leaders. And I think it's because they don't want to take the responsibility to sit down and, you know, think about this. They didn't want me around unless I changed. So the female head of the church invited me over for coffee. She started asking about my childhood. And she's like, imagine when you first thought that you liked girls. Just imagine that day, like how old you were, and just imagine that. And imagine walking into your house and what your family were like. Now, what was wrong with that? She did tell me that my parents neglected me. They didn't. Even though I said that they didn't, she said, well, obviously you were confused. They didn't teach you about relationships. They didn't teach you. They obviously didn't have good relationships themselves for you to have been so confused. Because I guess if you can separate me from that family support, then all I have is the church. But in the end, God never rejected me. It was just some of his people. Christians rejected me. Christians hurt me. Christians said bad things. They said that I was wrong. They said that I was broken and awful and harmful, and they said that I was going to hurt their kids, but God never said anything bad about me. Being rejected by a bunch of Christians kind of brought me closer to God.
I adopted my niece about 5 years ago after my sister passed away, and I'm only 23, so it's been quite an interesting ride. My sister was 10 years old when I gained custody of her. So I had to learn very quickly about how to be more of an adult in those circumstances, because I was still only very young. I was 18. Men and women were still making those comments and those gestures about homosexuality and how bad it is. And I would receive judgment wherever I went. And having a child on top of that, trying to show her that not to react was really difficult, because I did.
It was different when I first moved in, but it was easily adjusted because I know him already, so it was easy. But people judging me because of that, and him definitely was a bit difficult.
When I went to the high school, when YC turned 13 and she was in grade 8, I received a lot of judgment because they knew I was gay, because I had gone to that school and copped a lot of abuse, and now I'm bringing a child to that school as a parent.
Some are like, oh, why do you have a gay parent? Why are they gay? And they ask why I live with him. Do I want to live with him? Some people are really angry about it sometimes. Like I shouldn't be allowed to live with someone that is homosexual.
Some people said, oh, well done, but others were like, are you sure you should be doing this? When YC first got her period, people asked me, well, how did you deal with that? It's like, well, how would you deal with your teenage child going through those hormones? Someone told me that it's probably not a good idea to show her that I sleep with men. Getting out of bed in the morning and there's another man in my bed, that shouldn't be what I should do. That's showing her that kind of thing is normal. They believe that means that it's not wholesome, because I'm raising her, I'm a male and I'm gay, that she's not going to get what everybody else does.
People would pass us and laugh, or people would yell at Jessie sometimes. I'd hear people. It's just really upsetting that people want to actually go up to someone and be so angry at them because of who they are.
I worry all the time about whether or not she sees that discrimination and how, that affects her feelings. I think it's affected me massively. It gives me anxiety. I don't want people to think the wrong things. I don't want her to be judged because of that.
Yeah, he comes in to mech with me, or bras and things, and we have a look around him. He's always telling me what's good and what isn't. It's good having him there rather than facing it myself.
It's shown her that it can be normal and that there is no definition of normal.
At the age of 13, I decided to go working. Worked on the road trains. I thought, okay, well, this is what I need to do. We'd be able to get those feelings out of me. All the while, all your feelings are pushed way back into whatever part of your mind. So then we got married as husband and wife, done all the things that you do as when you're making a life for yourself, and for your partner.
I had an inkling that something wasn't right with our relationship. There was a female in our relationship, another one other than me. When I felt things weren't going right, it took a lot to get it out. We were happy in our marriage. We were happy as a couple together. We had Courtney when I was 28. It wasn't until she was 13 till David finally couldn't take it anymore and had to be herself. When he told me that he couldn't take it anymore being a man and had to be his true self, well, who am I to judge? If he had to be that, he had to be that. I'd rather him to be a woman than not to be here at all, be dead. We decided, even though it was going to be hard and it was going to be a strain on our marriage, we weren't going to separate. I didn't want Courtney to be another child of divorced parents. Because everybody bails, don't they? They don't stick around and try and work it out.
I'd noticed that the family wasn't doing okay. Mum was more upset, more angry. I remember Dad taking me away into the bedroom. It was late at night, and I don't know what sparked it in Dad's head that it made it seem okay to do it at that time, especially after finding out that Mum and Dad had talked previously about telling me together. And then it kind of just went really downhill. And there was a lot of tension, a lot of anger. It seemed as soon as Dad came out about it, because it was out in the open, all those female things started coming to light. So shaving her legs, painting her toenails and fingernails, having her washing go through, having to hang out all female washing, because she obviously wanted to be the epitome of female at the very beginning.
Even though David is Danielle, in society, Danielle is still David. She still has the rights of a man. Society still views me as being married even though she's transgendered. Society is so warped. They don't have any rules or regulations. Gay couples can't be married, lesbian couples can't be married. But if you're married to a heterosexual male and that male decides to become female, I'm still married. The banks still acknowledge David financially, not me.
Even though my name's changed.
Danielle doesn't like to talk on the phone because Danielle's voice is still David's voice, and Danielle is questioned. Every day she picks up the phone. So when the bank says, "Can we speak with Danielle?" and then Danielle hops on the phone, they say, "Can we speak with Danielle?" Danielle's speaking. "Can we speak with Danielle?" Danielle's speaking. I'll just put you on to Bernadette. Bernadette's my authority, because Bernadette's got a female voice and you'll listen to Bernadette. So I have to be the authority for everything for Danielle, because by the time you explain everything to the person on the other end of the phone, you're too frustrated to deal with the business that you phoned up for in the first place. And this just goes on day after day, week after week, month after month. So Danielle becomes a recluse. So then she relies upon me and Courtney. So then she takes our life away. When we were going to counselling, they said that things wouldn't change. The personality doesn't change. It's still the same personality inside as what they are on the outside. That's not the truth. Because they're not. They can't be. Because once they go from male to female or female to male, society changes them in personality. They have to fight to be who they want to be. Society won't let them move on. They won't let the family move on. I can only say for Toowoomba, but you're not accepted. You're an it. You're neither lesbian, you're neither gay, you're just an it.
If I would have been like at the age of 10 to maybe 15 and transitioned then that would have been a lot easier. Because when you're 50 plus, you look back and you're thinking, if only.
All I want is my family to be happy. Just to have a happy family. My daughter struggles every day, having to explain herself. If she has to bring us along, she has to explain us. I'm sick of having to explain.
I have sisters and that who've grown up and have their kids, and they just don't want their kids to associate with me. And
because it might rub off,
yeah,
especially their boys.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't want to bring their boys around just in case they turn gay. They just don't understand why we can still be a family, or why we still want to be a family.
One word: love.
You have to be there for each other, no matter what. Because at the end of the day, nobody else is. You're the one in your house with your family, and that's it.
I've broken Bernadette's heart. I've broken my daughter's heart. To think that you've done that as a person, to someone you love, you know. And if it wasn't for the way that they've been brought up, to not judge, and to have that same love for you as a person that's going through that, you wouldn't survive.
When I was about 2 years old, I was taken away from my mum. She wasn't capable of handling 3 children. And then I lived with my grandma. I did think my life was different, but at the time I thought it was okay. I didn't realise who I was being that young. My main turning point was when we lost Mum when I was 12. I have to be an adult, I have to be strong. So then, from 12 and onwards was nothing but up. I've got to mature, I've got to become something. My grandma took me to my first show with friends of hers. They didn't tell me what was actually going on, and we rocked up there, and I'm seeing all these gorgeous women, and then I suddenly realised, hang on, when they start talking, that's not a woman. Going to my first show, I was shocked. I was like, how do I take this? So I sat there for the first 3 hours and was like, don't talk to me. And then I finally you just sort of bounce into it, sort of thing. And from there, it took off. The next show I wanted to go in drag. Justine is Justine Diva. She has immensely helped me. I didn't want to go out to gay nightclubs at all as me because I didn't accept myself. I couldn't. I didn't want that because, growing up, I was living on a farm. You're kind of you're extremely flamboyant, Justin. Why? I didn't like the fact that I was gay or bisexual or whatever was going on at the time. I didn't like the fact that that was who I was becoming. Being Justine, I was able to express myself almost as a different person. When you put on the finishing touches and everything is put together and you have the final finished product, you are someone else. People don't know who I am. They don't need to see who I am. Justine is her own person. And if she wants to go out to whatever nightclub she's allowed to, was able to sort of hide behind her. And that's what I used her to begin with. Eventually, and then I was finally able to, you know what, I'm going to go out. Justine's not going to go out this time. It's going to be me. And then I was able to accept who I was and for everyone else to accept me. But that took a very long time. I would probably be proud enough, yes, to describe myself as a gay man, which that's actually quite funny. That's the first time I've actually accepted that. It's been really hard. I've never wanted to accept myself. Never. I've always seen it as that's wrong. That's not who you are. Who's not going to be proud of you? Who's going to is mum going to be proud? That's what I also think. Is she happy with who I am becoming? It will get better no matter how much you've been through. Things will change. Just love yourself. That's what I would say to younger me. Love yourself. Be who you are. Be who you want to be. You create your own path. You're strong enough to do it.
I am a transgender man, and I'm also gay. I think we need to look at the term transgender itself, and you will hear a lot of people say things like born in the wrong body or turning from one thing into another, but these are all myths. These are all quite regressive ideologies. My interpretation of what transgender means is that you have been assigned a role at birth that does not match who you are. It has nothing to do with your body. It has nothing to do with your biochemistry or anything like that. So for me, I'm like any other man, but my journey to that and being recognised as male has been quite difficult and a bit different because I was assigned a role that didn't fit my identity. I was actually sent to a school for only girls. There was something going on that I could not put my finger on. I went to all sorts of professionals. My parents were immensely supportive, but something strange happened when I left that school. When I went to an inclusive school that included all types of people from all different backgrounds, I realised that I didn't have to live to the arbitrary expectations of other people that you often find in private schools. The way I was being referred to was the thing that was upsetting me and setting me off, and so I had to do some self-exploration. I remember walking to work and I got about halfway and it was in the park. I had a mental breakdown. I couldn't do it anymore. When that happens, you have to do something. And it wasn't until a year after that I started telling people that I knew. I lost a lot of people as friends. Those that were closest to me and who stuck around have been fantastic, and just know that I'm the same person that I've always been. I am very lucky to have a supportive family, and on the other hand, that is quite sad that it is based on luck. However, my sister probably took it the worst. I think what she wanted was a big sister, somebody that she could relate to very personally. When I told her how I felt, she had to realise that that wasn't the case, and that she still had a sibling and she still had me, and we could still do all the stuff that we did before. We could still go shopping, we could still have movie nights. That's what siblings do. It was difficult for her, and I think she's done a really, really good job by expanding her views a bit and accommodating me. So the challenges that I face are general ignorance. For me, it's both my gender and my sexuality, and it's very strange the way that they cross over. So not only have I experienced discrimination in the wider public, but also within the gay scene. This is really quite difficult to come to terms with. However, the way that I combat that is by only getting involved with people who understand and are secure enough in their sexuality to understand that I am a man as well. The medical industry is a difficult one. That is really where it all starts, where you are given a role and you're expected to conform to it based on some societal construct, but also private prejudice of doctors and lack of information, lack of understanding about healthcare, lack of access to healthcare is a massive one too. I don't know which doctors are going to treat me with respect and which aren't. I did have a massive ordeal about getting my proof of age card. The gender marker is not actually present on the proof of age card, yet I was denied Justice of the Peace signing on my identification documents to obtain it. So what happened there was discrimination from the Justice of the Peace, and I actually had to go to Brisbane in order to get this proof of age card. And it's not just a card. I couldn't change my name or my marker on any other card until I had that sorted. So my Medicare card, my bank account, my phone bill, all those sorts of things relied on that card. And so when it finally came in the mail, and it took about 2 months to sort all this out, I was just so excited because I had access to services, and that is the biggest thing. You need to be identified for who you are, and you need access to services to be well. I would like to call out the Australian government on their arbitrary practice of not allowing people to change the gender marker on their birth certificate unless they have had a type of surgery. This is extremely classist, and it's extremely transphobic. The reason being that not all people want to have surgeries, nor do you need surgeries to be able to be who you are. Also, the economic access to this is extremely limited. It costs about 10 grand, for example, to get a bilateral mastectomy, which is changing the shape of the chest to make it appear more masculine. Most of us don't have that kind of money. And so that is the gatekeeper in order to have our identity seen as what it is on our birth certificate. So this law really is very questionable at best. And when you are living as somebody that you aren't, what is the point? You can exist or you can live.
People who share your beliefs might not accept you, but at least you still have God and you still have you and hopefully your family, but you don't need people in your life who aren't going to accept you.
The way that I have brought her up is everyone deserves to be treated the same way. So I think that more to how it's affected her is that she gets to see many different scopes of life.
We're still mates.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll always be mates.
Yeah.
You just hang in there for the long haul. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone moved the goalposts. Hey, mate.
Yeah.
anyone listening that's struggling with themselves, just be you, be happy with who you are, and just be strong about it, be proud. Don't be afraid to take a leap. Take a leap of faith.
We have been silenced for too long. We are here, we do exist, and we must be respected and we must be liberated. We can do that as a community and as a society.